Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had gonna yagi. But I mean, we're working towards, so this is just our first phase. Our second phase, Zane and I shared with you, is we're using AI to make the call. So we're actually using AI to track and pinpoint where it's actually landing on the on the ground, and then showing, being able to, it's able to tell if it's in or out based on what it's seeing. And then the last phase, which we should be there by next year, is just to have it call the ball in or out. So you don't need, players aren't making calls, like no challenges. It's just, it will just make the call automatically, like what you're seeing in tennis right
Yeah,
now.
we'll have to show some demos of the AI stuff here on screen. Kyle, we'll have to get some of that from you
Yeah.
afterwards. I know I took a look at at the thing that you had texted me, and it looked pretty sweet. But how does something like that? I guess I'm not familiar with tennis. How does something like that actually take into account other variables like wind, right? So you can see the amount of, you could theoretically see the amount of spin on the ball, you can see the trajectory that it's going at, you can see the pace.
Mhm.
But what if there's a huge gust of wind right at the end that like screws up the algorithm? Or how does this AI actually like figure out where this is going to bounce?
Well, it's not. It's actually tracking, and it's especially helps when it has more frames, right? So if we're using cameras that have 240 more frames, the more information it has, like it's just tracking the ball, right? So it doesn't matter if it gets blown by wind; it's just tracking the ball and the trajectory of the ball, right? And so when the AI notices it, when there's a change in trajectory, so it bounces and it starts moving in a different direction, that's when it can pinpoint where the ball is landing. So that's the AI version that we're working on right now. Like it's just like very basic. Like you can just see the video and you have to infer. Like we will show you where the ball is landed, and now the referee still has to, by the rules, judge if it's on the line, if it's not on the line. Which at some point we want to get away from the judgment part and have it be just straight. This is what it is. It's been tested and certified, because that's just like with Hawkeye for tennis, for it to be certified. They use like cameras to certify it, like 1,000 frames per second, and so they can see it on camera when they're certified in Hawkeye, and then it has to be from what their technology is saying where the ball's landing. It has to coincide with the high frame rate camera, and that's
Is
how they certify them.
is Hawkeye? So I was just watching the French Open, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just basically like the computerized. Sorry, Mike. The computerized, like it just shows you, and it looks like some sort of AI. But I think they've had it around for a while, right? Where
Yeah.
there's no discrepancy. It's like it could just tell whether it's in or out, and then it shows you like a rendered kind of
Yes,
simulation of what the camera saw for the
Yeah.
yes.
viewers at home.
Actually, the French Open
It's the only one that
is
doesn't.
yeah, it's the only one that doesn't use Hawkeye.
But this was the weird thing, was like they were showing it to viewers, but it still came down to the ump's call. So the
Oh,
ump was
interesting.
like getting out of his chair and walking over because it's on
And
clay,
looking at the
right? And
mark.
looking at it. Yeah.
And so this is the interesting thing about Hawkeye, and this is why like replay challenges, this has to come from like players that want this challenge system, because this is the background with Hawkeye. So like in the mid 2000s, so somewhere around 2005 or 2006, Hawkeye was just used as a broadcast tool to show viewers. Okay, so it was in the U.S. Open. Serena Williams was playing, right? So Hawkeye wasn't used as a challenge system. It wasn't used to call balls in or out. It was just used on broadcast as a tool.
Hmm.
And there was a bunch of bad calls against umpires, making bad calls against Serena Williams, and she was getting upset. And then they would show it on Hawkeye in the broadcast, and it'd be like way in or way out, and it was just totally wrong by the line umpires. So there was this big outcry by players that, okay, we need this technology implemented,
Hmm.
and this is why this has to come from the players,
Hmm.
that want this, and because that's how Hawkeye got implemented. And I think this is where it needs to come from, is from the players.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like if you brought in Hawkeye and then you didn't abide by Hawkeye, it could potentially just like spotlight the issue even further,
Yeah.
and everyone's just more pissed off.
Yeah, but I think that's the way that you actually get players outraged. I think the best way to do is to use this as a broadcast thing only, not have it available to the players, and then being able to go look at it afterwards, we'd be outraged enough to actually go like do something about it. We don't know what we don't know right now, but if we have this technology where we can see with certainty that like something was in or something was out, or more certainty, like that's where we're going to be actually, I think, more outraged. Um, yeah, no, that's it's interesting. I've called it for a while now. Like, I think there's only going to be more and more bad calls, and even if this is out of the price range for now, this should at least be used when we're kicking off NASCAR for on Fox, like on the biggest broadcasts. Like, this should be definitely used. That's the time where we want our product to be the best. That's where it seems like, okay, we can make an argument that first round at a 1,000 point tournament in Sacramento, you don't need it, right? But when you're on the biggest stage, Championship Sunday, and you're kicking off another major sport for it, like, that seems like a cost that's justified.
And that's the thing too. So not only, and this is one of the allures to it, is that it's just entertaining in general, right? So if you're in it, like the PPA and APP, like there's shows, even at the event, there's shows, right? So even when we were doing them on MLP, and there was a challenge and the crowd's kind of getting hyped up, the MC's hyping them up, and then you can actually see it on the video board, like if it was in or out, like that's just part of like the entertainment value of it.
That was the only one we did that was Columbus MLP in 2022, right?
They did it in Atlanta, but like the Columbus one was awesome. I remember there was a challenge that Rafa had, and it wasn't even a line challenge. It was one where it hit his hand, and they challenged it. And you could see it on the board. And
I remember that
pointing on the board.
That was what he was going like this for like the entire challenge time. I remember they were doing it on the board right behind the court, like as like Deckel and Federico are standing right next to that court. That was awesome. Like that challenge system, 2022 Columbus was phenomenal, or at least just the way that it was broadcast. It is challenges, I think, are one of the most entertaining parts of sports. Like when there's a close call in the NFL or MLB and you're there actually watching it, trying to figure out what you would call as the umpire, like that has got to be some of the most audience retaining time in this entire sport. Of any sport, honestly. Nobody clicks away during a challenge.
Yeah. Even on social, people are always posting clips where it's like a close call and they're like in or out. And those videos always do really well. People just, for whatever reason, people get really into that.
Yeah, and it drives engagement on all this stuff. People are commenting. Yeah, I think it's great for the overall entertainment value. Let's say it doesn't even fix any bad calls, but it's great for the entertainment, right? Like there's two different reasons why it would be a good idea. Obviously, like, yes, we want to fix bad calls, but if nothing else, like it's really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, that's and so we did this. So we've done the 240 system, the close call system at 2 Duper collegiate events, and they just freaking loved it. At the one we had in Atlanta, they actually had like a big screen of the program out on the wall, and so like they could see the challenges, and the college kids were just going crazy. So, and that's the thing is like with our system with 240 frames per second, we have not missed one ball actually hitting the ground, which is crazy. So like we've seen some really cool stuff, like the actual spin of the ball. And another thing that like they say doesn't happen, but we've seen happen is the ball is actually compressing as well, which is kind of cool.
All right.
So yeah, there's just been some cool things that we've seen, and we're just trying to get it into market, and and like I said, fairness and integrity is something that we're trying to help with. And as we've seen just in the last couple of weeks, like some of the calls are huge, right? And there's no way you can make an accurate call from the angles that the PPA and even the last MLP broadcasts are showing. There's just no way.
Yeah. Okay, so we have our Aloha Pickleball Showdown coming up here in Austin at the Austin Pickleball Ranch, July 13th. We partnered with Olukai for that. So Olukai is a Hawaiian-inspired lifestyle brand best known for their insanely comfortable sandals, but they just came out with a pickleball shoe. So go to olukai.com, just check them out, because they're cool enough to wear on court and off court, and they're meant to be styled off court. The new line that they have, the new shoe that they have, is called the Anau. ANAU. It's designed specifically for pickleball with a focus on breathability, lateral stability, and multi-directional traction and comfort both on and off the court. What makes Anau unique from the rest of the Olukai assortment is its functional on-court benefits, like what I just mentioned, with the bonus of being able to be styled and worn off the court. So go to Olukai.com, check them out. Pretty cool new pickleball shoe out there. We know the sport is desperate for better pickleball shoes, so check them out at Olukai.com.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie,